We have said in another video that this was actually our first date, and I was going to an Indian film for the first time, having met Paaru in real life for the first time. I had to sit in the cinema and not find all of this too weird, or at least not express that all of this is too weird, until now. I'm kidding. Ali's fine. You guys really care about your lead actors and actresses. Like, this is kind of 90% of the film is who's in it. I am the main character, and so you see me from shots like this. And it is very important that you see the back of my head for at least 30 seconds. Why? To be fair, I didn't know this was the main character. People started applauding and whooping, woo, when his face gets shown. Why? You know who it is, because you came to the cinema to see this guy. He's not there. He can't hear you. What are you applauding for? It's not live.
But it's our way of enjoying the movie. What's so wrong about it? I would totally cheer for my favorite actor. And you've seen me do that.
I have seen her do that, yes.
To most Indians, movies is just escapism. These 3 hours, they're just there to enjoy their hearts out. So they'll hoot, they'll cry, they'll laugh, they'll do everything. It's just a celebration for them.
I'm not sure if I'm really in focus, but anyway, speaking of focus, that's one of the things I noticed. There was a lot of scenes in the film where the background was super blurred out.
Not at all unusual for me because I'm sort of sensitized to that way of shooting. The formula does work for Bollywood movies, at least a movie like To Jhoothi Main Makkaar, because it's meant for everyone. Like, everybody should be able to understand the movie.
The music numbers, where you'll walk through a door and suddenly there's like 100 people all dancing in sync. And I was like, hold on, we were just having a normal conversation outside, and then we walk through and bang, we're in this ridiculous scenario. That is exactly that. They walk into this club to meet their friend, and I'm just sitting there going, oh, they're going to meet their friend. And then boof, we're in this musical thing. Obviously, like, it's hardly a revelation to anyone, oh, this wouldn't happen in real life. But it's so devoid from any sort of reality that, as I say, you know, they're walking into a club and suddenly everyone's in this extremely choreographed thing. It's so bizarre. Because again, if you're following along the story of this is what's happening to these people in real time, then suddenly you get this scene that's clearly fantasy, and then you go back to real life and it's like, well, what explains why we're suddenly in Fantasyland for the duration of the song and then back to normal?
I feel the even weirder song was Show Me the Thumka. Why the hell are you dancing with him? And like openly flirting, both of them.
No shock, the clothing is very different to Western clothing, especially, you know, saris for the women, the kurta for the guy and all that. I have since tried on a kurta in real life, and look at her face, look at her face, look at her face some more.
I'll put a picture.
I thought basically India was going to be, okay, most people wear kind of just the same clothing as everyone else, and then their traditional clothing is different. But no, mostly people are wearing at least far more traditional clothing than are in the West, or different clothing. Maybe I shouldn't say traditional, but more derivative of that tradition.
For people of my generation, we are not very used to wearing saris quite often. I think the main lead actress was also quite Western.
Yeah, I didn't see it that way because I'm Western entirely, so I saw her as quite Eastern.
Oh, that's nice. Do you like a sari though?
I think it's surprising almost how much India still has a traditional look to it in terms of clothing. But then again, India's a different world, isn't it? The white background dancers. This is something that's beyond bizarre. When I noticed it, I couldn't stop noticing it because I would think going to, you know, Indian cinema, Bollywood, all this kind of stuff, that almost everyone in it is going to be Indian. But the background dancers were almost all white, it seemed. I was just staggered by this because why? The only thing I could theorize is that if you had a bunch of Indian people, then they all kind of blend in with each other. Whereas if you had like you in front of a bunch of white people, you will stand out more. Mm-hmm. So to naturally make the main character stand out more, you put them in front of people who don't look like them. This is one of the things we talked about, that when I came out of the cinema, one of my initial reactions to Paaru was, look, I'm not usually the kind of guy who notices this sort of thing. Like, I dislike making things about race and skin tone, I couldn't help but notice that Paaru was significantly darker than any main character from that film. They look closer to me than they look to Paaru. Why are all these people white, basically? Like, why were all the main...
Indians have a fantasy for white color. I don't know. You'll be surprised at all the beauty products they try to sell. They sell it in the name that you'll get fairer.
One thing that is kind of worth noting is in Glasgow, which is also a predominantly white city, still is, I was the only white person in that cinema. And I think even the people in the cinema, thinking back, I got the odd kind of,
What is he doing here?
One thing that makes it generally a bit harder for me or any non-Indian, non-Hindi specifically speaker, also reading the subtitles. Trying to quickly flip back and forth. And it's not the first time I've ever done it, but it is obviously a bit harder because one of the other things is Indians speak quite quickly. Now,
Yes.
no, but Hindi is not as bad as...
Malayalam.
I'm Glaswegian. We're supposed to speak quickly. If I'm speaking right now, this is quite quick. That's not quick for them. That's slow as hell. They speak so quickly, fam. It's crazy. Even if I knew what they were saying, even if I knew the language, I still wouldn't be able to follow it because it's so fast. Your tongue has to be an athlete just to speak.
And haha, I can speak it. Mallu, girl who was predominantly brought up in Chennai.
Anyway.
Well, I love both the languages. I was just gonna blow a kiss as if I'm so celebrating. But
I love you,
sorry.
Tamil. Jesus Christ. We haven't put out a single video yet as we're recording this, and you're already acting the celebrity. Oh no. Next thing, humor. We've been talking about this for a while, obviously, because it's a thing that's going to come up in a relationship. I think for a film like this, probably most of it does translate. There'll be cultural reference things that won't, but a lot of the humor, there's two characters in the film that I remember being funny, which is his friend, and there's a bit on a golf course, I think it is, where he says quite a few things that they do translate as funny. And then the little girl, which is a very classic archetype of kind of the cheeky little, it's usually a girl actually, who like says the sort of tongue-in-cheek thing that the adults won't say out loud because they're too polite, that sort of thing. So she was fun.
The friend is also a famous Indian comedian, so...
Well, one of the things we noticed, even I noticed, that this dude can't dance. Like, they're doing all the dance things, and the main guy is quite, loose and free-flowing and whatever. And this guy looks like me out there. He's like stiff and kind of slightly bobby, and oh god, he looks like the drunk uncle at the wedding sort of thing. My shoulder was suddenly wet. Oh, what the hell's going on? And Paaru is sobbing away on my shoulder. I think it's the scene where the family decide they're gonna go and get the girl back from the airport.
No, it was a scene where they were talking and he's like, no, I can't leave my family because they're equally important for me and shit. Anyway, I cried, guys. I cried.
So she's cried in multiple scenes, basically.
I am just an emotional being. If you show me a sad scene, I will cry. So overall, what do you think, Jack? Did you like your first Bollywood experience? I'm not gonna ask you if you would watch more Bollywood movies because he's clearly watched a lot of Bollywood movies after that because he's with me.
See, that's the thing. I think the real question is, would I watch a Bollywood film if I wasn't with you?
Yes, you would. Yay.
Moving back onto the actual question, there's definitely noticeable differences. If you'd never seen a Bollywood film, you're going to notice a lot of things. One is basically a musical. I would almost argue in some ways are more the focus of or one of the very main focuses of the film anyway. Of the songs I've liked so far, and maybe just because I'm a dance music guy, Western music as well. The songs I've liked so far, especially Tamil, has generally produced the most fun songs for me thus far.
Let's wind up this video because we're running out of battery. Okay, not okay, okay.
Different. I'm using that classic cop-out, it's just different. And bad.
Alright, see you in the next video.